and I'm looking at my opponent. You've heard this garbage, I'm sure. I'm looking at my opponent, and I'm looking over here to see if the way is clear. Now I'm looking back to get out of the way and fight this guy sideways. Who fights like this? Sideways. Nobody. And why would I care if the way is clear unless I want to run? And then once I've looked that way, I better run, not look back. Because you know, in a fight, you don't look at a guy, look away, and look back, or you're going to be hit. The two-way action of muscle, a person cannot choke you if you lock the throat down and turn and look the other way, and as you go back, you'll step out. I'll break it down for you in two parts. But the kata goes like this: left, right, left, that. Then the attack. If he grabs my throat and is choking, I look left, right, and I'm out of it. And actually, we're going to let you do this to each other. When you choke the throat, choke hard, I'm out of it. But the secret or trick is that you, now don't choke yet, I'm talking. You have to, or I'll do this to you. You have to lock the throat, and you have to very sharply look all the way to the left. That makes all of his muscle function in that direction. When you go back the other direction, his muscle can't cope with it, and really, when I do that, I'm out of it now. That's what that move is for in the kata. So just that kata that opened up for me for 25 years, I didn't know what that was for. And I had to stand and look, and then do the moves. And they never told anybody that it was that. Choke, choke, and take him out with a lock. And tap. A little tap. Somebody help me with him. Somebody help me with him. Get his legs back. Isn't that a good one? Huh? It attaches here. Right in the new magazine is somebody doing this to the nose. You won't injure that. Look, that don't injure. This injures because the nerve for the attachment is here. And if I attack like that, look what would happen. The attack is down and in. The nerve's response is here. And look at the size of his pupil. Oh, yeah. Sit down. That is the angle and direction to attack the nose, not up. Do you understand that, ladies? Now, if a guy is diving at you, and I don't care from what position, this is the correct angle and direction for the nose. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
That's the angle and direction. And this, in case it didn't work, is to grab the two opposite sides of his head and break his neck. So if the guy dives, at the same time you are to touch nose, come over here a little bit. At the same time you are to touch nose, on the yin from the front, you're going to hit the yang from the back. And this would be the move, as in the kata. And if he reaches out to get me, and I touch, get his head straight. And look at the eyes. Look, we can't get him open. Okay, okay. Sorry. Just relax a minute. Just stay right there. Everyone understand?
Yes.
Then, if you missed, you have this for the yank. You're to rip that head around that way and yank. And really snap the neck or whiplash. So the last time I was here in October, I showed what to do with a stranglehold. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
I showed you how to release the throat. We release the throat, but if a guy's diving for you, this is a natural reaction. And it's in the kata. If every time you did that in kata and you thought a guy was diving, they had sumo wrestlers, they had people diving for people when the katas were invented. And a lot of the moves cover that, or even just coming around with the hands. If I circle the head and tap, get his back straight. Look at those pupils. You see? The pupils are large. That's this move out of Seisan. Kata Seisan ends with this. That's the move. Just tap the opposite quadrants. And it puts you out, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Hello? As you look around my school in Reading, Pennsylvania, I just want to show you some of my certificates of rank, my trophies, and that's only a handful of trophies that I won in my many years of competition back in the late 60s, mid-60s, late 60s, early 1970s. I'll tell you more about it as I do the weapons, but I just wanted to show you my martial arts school in Reading, Pennsylvania. Just get a little glimpse of what we're doing. We have a blue curtain up front for the background. And you can see the many trophies, awards, our bleachers. Naturally, no one's here. In fact, we're filming on a Sunday. Up above the bleachers is our kind of our celebrity wall. People I've either trained with or met or been in competition with. And many awards all over the school. In fact, I have hundreds of awards from all over the world. Magazine covers all over the world. I've been on the cover of magazines in India, Finland, Ireland, England, Australia, and almost every single magazine in the United States, martial arts magazine. So just some of our wall of fame, so we call it. And many of the celebrities we've met. We met hundreds of celebrities over the many years of our martial arts competition. That's one of the things I like best about the martial arts, is I got to meet many famous people, either at karate tournaments or through connections thereof. Today we're going to teach you how to use the nunchuk with nunchuk katas, 2 of them, and 2 kama katas. Okay, George Dillman, we are going to do the second weapons tape on nunchuk, and we're going to add kama also to the tape. What I really recommend is that you have my first nunchuk tape to teach you how to use the weapon and the first basic kata. I'm going to do 2 katas that we want you to learn from the tape. So I'm going to talk to you as I go through them. I'm going to do them facing the camera, and then I'm going to do them with my butt to the camera so you can see the moves going. Everything in this kata is the shape of a T. the letter T. So I'll be branching to my left, branching to my right, going down the middle. If you have my first Nunchaku tape, you'll know the moves as being the block, the strike, you'll know behind the arm, and you'll know how to flail the weapon. I'm going to try to move the weapon slow but precise so you can see exactly how it moves. I've had experience before where I filmed some tapes with some of the weapons. If I do the weapon too fast, the tape doesn't pick it up properly. We turn to my left, facing, and we do a down block. We step that direction, going behind the arm, and we do our 3 strikes. We catch, turn the other way, do a down block, behind the arm, and our 3 strikes. Coming at the camera, down, behind the arm, 1, 2, 3. We do a step slide with these, and catch, catch, catch. As we step up, we catch the weapon, throw it in our opponent's face, catch, do a side kick, pivot, side kick, a block, catch, a round, groin strike. Behind us we do a leg strike, facing that direction, spear hand, over the head to the neck, into the groin, pivot to the groin, step to a horse, come in a circle only once, here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, over the head, around the back, step up, and bow. Again, that same form. So you can learn the Nunchaku Kata. We're going to start with my butt to the camera, but so that you can see the moves going the other direction. I might adjust the stance because I have a curtain behind me, but if you're going to do the stances, you follow the first or the second time I did the kata. Kata Shore. Some of the katas that we did, especially the Nunchaku Kata, not too sure whether they even had a name. The name that we used for 20-some years now for the Nunchaku Katas has been Shore. And we would say the translation means victory. And I used to take pride in the fact that I could do all the weapons. I do the sai, the bow, the sword, the nunchuck, the kama, literally all the weapons of Okinawa and some from China. And in my many years of competition with weapons, I was fortunate in that I never ever entered in weapons that I didn't come home with a first or a second place. I never even really dropped a third or fourth place. There were a couple of times, you got to remember, this was back in the 60s and the 70s. It was 20-some years ago. And I'm now in my 57th year. It's one of the joys of life. We just get older and older. But anyways, the weapons, we talked about this the other day because one of my students got involved in a weapons competition and he was tied with the other person and they had to come out and perform again. Well, I had that happen many times. And the thing that won it for me was I went to a different weapon. If I took the nunchuck and I tied for first place, I went to my kamas. If I started with the kamas and tied, I went to my nunchuck. Very seldom did I ever have to get past those two weapons, but sometimes I'd enter with a size. And again, if it tied, out would come the nunchucks or the kama. And my demonstrations usually involved the sword. I didn't really enter sword competition or do kata with the sword in competition. But I was varied as a martial artist. I worked my empty hand form, I worked my fighting. 1969, the United States Karate Association had me number 6 on their fighting list. One of the magazines back then had me, I believe, number 3rd or 4th on the all-time fighting list at that time. I took pride in the fact that I did fighting, I did form, I did weapons, I did breaking. This is the 3rd Nunchaku kata. We won't have to perform it butt to camera because it's all aimed at the camera. We bow, and we drop back. This one drops back twice, then comes forward twice, then drops back, then goes behind the arm, does your figure, 1 kick, 1 kick, 1 kick to the back, 1 kick, back to front, 1, step forward, down, down, pivot using the nunchuck to block or catch and kick. Coming this way, same thing, kick, behind the arm, behind the arm, behind the arm. We drop to our knee, covering, come over our head. That's the tricky part, coming out of it twirling. Kick, step forward behind the arm, step back behind the arm on a 45 to the left, 45 to the right, cover to the front, finish with the catch, throw, and step up, and bow. This weapon is called the kama. I did 3 weapons, katas with it. Kama kata, we just called it kama 1, kama 2, kama 3. I recommend if you use kamas, for my students we put a piece of tape here at the end so you don't slide off. Because I've seen in competition where one went flying out into the audience and it could injure somebody and you would be responsible. I have nicks, which you probably can't see on the camera, but like a gunfighter that put a nick on his gun handle for everybody he shot, I actually took a hammer and a screwdriver and just put nicks in the wood to roughen up the handle so I don't lose them as I'm performing with the weapon. The weapon is used this end for punching. Twirls are done like this, just like holding chopsticks. Just do this, and when the weapon swings, it should swing up along the arm and lock. It should touch the arm, so that if anybody has a weapon, it locks and hits the handle. The weapon should lock, and also if you block the punch, you could come up on the punch with the sharp end. So that's what this is doing in kata. These moves are getting somebody behind you, and there's many moves in the katas that go underneath. That's showy. I mean, when you get into the weapons, you're talking karate show. There's karate do and there's karate show. At the beginning of this tape, I put a couple knockouts on the tape, and I might even have a couple at the end so you can see exactly what we're into today. We're into pressure point attacking. We're into pressure points of the human body, 361 pressure points all over the human body. I attack them. This particular pair of kama I have marked. I got these in 1966. I have another pair here that I got in 1972 from Hohan Soken, and I used to use those in the competition after he presented them to me. I had a set made of sickles. I used to say Kata, but I'm going to do sickle jits. I dulled these down a little bit so the flash wouldn't glare, but I took a pair of American sickles, and I used one in each hand. I put a piece of tape right here so that I wouldn't lose them, and I put rawhide so that I could slip them on my hands before competition so that I could not release them into the crowd and injure somebody. This is what I won my trophies with. This is what I was famous for. My sickles or sickle jits, as I would do the particular moves of the kata, they could see this, but yet I had the rawhide twisted so that I would not lose it. This is my original set of sickles. I took them to a blacksmith and had the crease straightened out. A pair of American sickles have an L shape in them, and I had a blacksmith take that out on both of them and retemper them. And then I had them chrome plated for competition and my initials cut in, and this particular set is marked 1965 George Dillman. And this is what I used when I was in the competition, and they could see the moves vividly coming through as I did these kind of moves. In the competition, they could see the weapon going. I actually did a television show in Hagerstown, Maryland back in the 60s with these sickles, and when we were finished the television show, I had to reshoot the entire show because I had moved the sickles so fast that the camera was nothing but a blur, a glare from the studio lights caught off them. To practice the sickles are dangerous, because I tell you, if you're practicing with a weapon and you're not paying attention, the one that's going to get injured is you. So you should spend a lot of time doing just this, pivoting the weapon. Pivoting and then pivoting from the outside, that you come along your forearm, as close to your forearm as you can. To practice the weapon, I actually used to use my tunfa to practice the sickle kata. The regular tunfa that you use, I pretended that these were the blades. And this is how I practiced with the tunfa, so I could not cut or injure myself. And I used to practice bringing them along the arm. I used to pretend that this was the sickle blade. So you might want to get a pair of tunfa rounded like this. It's like training with weights. They're heavier than the kama. But when I got good and used to do the kata with this particular weapon, I moved the kama and the sickle a lot faster. So this is the move you have to practice a lot, because you have to have a squeeze hand to be able to control this weapon coming out, that you don't lose it for this particular move. This is called walking on the weapon. You walk up the weapon to get where it can go between the thumb and the forefinger like this, so that you can move around to the other side and grab the weapon for fighting. And when I would release, we would walk down the weapon to go to the other side for these particular moves. This is what takes the practice. This is what takes the practice, is this part. And then many times I've seen people in competition use this weapon either haphazardly, they would let it go and they could injure somebody in the crowd, or they would cut themselves, because if you take this weapon and you don't handle it right, you're going to be the one that gets injured. Now we're going to go on to two katas with the weapon. I want to show you how to use it. I'll talk you through two forms with the kama. I hope that you take the time to learn them properly and get good and showy. I waited until this time in my career to even put these weapons on tape. I don't know what it was because I haven't competed since 1972, but there's something about the forms I used to win a lot of trophies with that I was really reluctant to share them with a lot of people on a video because everybody would be doing my form. But now that I'm heading for 57 years of age, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get out there in competition anymore. And I want to pass it on and hope that somebody out there watches this and gets real good with the Kama and the Nunchaku and enters a lot of competitions and wins a lot of trophies. The story was that they used to use the Kama in the rice fields. In fact, we actually seen people in Japan when we toured Japan not too long ago using this particular weapon out in the field. The long handle is to feed the rice in for cutting. And then we heard stories how they would use this weapon for self-defense. I know that in 1972, at age 83, I saw Ho-Han Soken use this weapon. In fact, he gave me a pair, and he gave me the pair of Tunfa that I just showed you. He brought them over as a gift to the United States for me. But he was good at throwing this weapon. They also do this weapon called Kusari Kama, where they have a long chain or string tied to the hand, and they throw the weapon, practice. I know I seen Ho-Han Soken throw the weapon out 3, 4, 5 feet with a cord and pull it straight back into his hand without the weapon dropping. You'll see people twirl this weapon on a cord around their body. That's all the show portion. As good as you get with the weapon and the flashier, the higher you can jump, the higher you can kick, the faster you can move the weapon, the more trophies you're going to win. This is the first Kata that I did in competition. Step back. You're going to go off to a 45, but aim to the 45. Blocking. Step over here, 45, aiming to the 45. You're going to turn to your left and punch, punch, kick, punch. You're going to turn to your right, punch, punch, kick, punch. You're going to drop back, blocking, come forward in a rear stance, covering above the head, twirling just this weapon around the head for a stick, coming in for a collarbone stick with a kick. Going to go fold the weapon and go off on a 45, punch, punch, kick, punch, 45, punch, punch, kick, punch. Go out to a horse stance, coming with the weapon like this, hitting someone in the leg that's attacking, looking, going behind you, this hand will block, this will catch in the collarbone, you'll go back into a cat stance. The weapon is this way right now to the rear. You're going to cross, throw a kick, get him in the throat, coming underneath the groin with a flashy move, underneath, throwing as many of those as you want, coming like this as you come out of it, covering above the head, dropping to the side, coming up, covering the body, dropping to the side, blocking above the head, dropping down to the thighs, sticking them in. Supposedly you stuck him in the thighs, and he's doubling over. That cuts off the head. First, Kata. The particular kata that I was doing, there's an empty hand version of the kata called Nunchaku. O-N-U-N-C-U-E, Nunchaku. Very popular Okinawan form. I did it with the kama to learn how to use them
to naturally get better in competition. So you could announce it Kata Ananku with Kama, or you could just say Kama Kata 1. I'll do those slow, make sure the camera picks them up. This one of all of them was my favorite. This is the one I won the most trophies with because it had a lot of flashy moves coming around the body and coming around the body, and a lot of moves where I would throw a kick. And in my days of competition, not today, but in my days of competition, I used to try to throw my kick that my toe would only be maybe a quarter inch away from my sickle blade. This is what you have to do to win big tournament competitions. Look better than the other guy, make it look dangerous, deadly, and they love it. Make sure that when you curl the weapon, in fact, that's with the bow staff, that's with the tunfa, that's with the nunchuk, that's with the kama. You make sure that you have to put the weapon or lay it tightly on your forearm so that there's no give. The sai, the same thing. I see so many people with a sai in competition with it sticking out like this, doing things. If the weapon's hit, it's going to get knocked into your arm. And you're going to take the shock. All the weapons, when they fold, should fold tightly to the forearm. The pivoting should come in a wrist action. The nunchuk, the kama, it's all in the wrist. As close as you can bring it to your own arm as you move that weapon. The closest you can let it drop, bring it around, fold. You should practice this over and over so you have it in one motion to stick. So if you tried to grab my weapon, I would let it fold and come over top and get you. That's how the weapon works. Step forward, up. Round the body, up, round the body, up, and around. These you're splicing with the blade, 45 degrees. You turn backwards. The weapon hits someone at the leg area with a circle. You 45 in the neck, over the head to the other 45, kick, come here, you go forward in a horse stance, drawing circles around the body, dropping back, catching, simulating pulling the person in, coming up and over, sticking them in the collarbone, kicking, and again, head cuts off as you step up. I'm going to do that one with my butt. I'm going to do this kata butt to camera so you can see the moves going the back direction. So just keep in mind the way you see the kata is the way it would be, and the 45 is off to that 45, and when I come back with the over the head, it's to my left 45 and to my right 45 with these moves that I do the kick. So I'm to pivot to the 45s, and then go to my left wall for these under the groin moves. That's the 45. That's the 45. Then notice that little stick behind you, and then up and over for the collarbone. Now we'll do it facing the camera. Same form. That should come around and go in the neck with a kick. That should go in the collarbone with a kick. And attacking underneath. And again, you throw in as many of those. One forward, two back. And then the left leg just drops back to a cross stance as you come for this. You pull, you go behind you as if somebody were trying to grab you, sticking him in the leg or the thigh, come up over the head, kick, head cuts off,